Students, this is a pretty big topic in the Unit 3 course. It is strategic alliances, and it is what is the rationale and benefits of a range of global strategic alliances in global business. So we're going to run through each one briefly before we do a practice question. So just quickly, a strategic alliance can come in many forms, and it is basically an alliance or a formal agreement between companies to share resources, undertake specific projects for the mutual benefit of both organisations. So don't forget the word rationale. It means the reasons for, whereas benefit is more what is gained. Yes, they overlap a lot, and that is really just a fault of the wording in the course, I think. It probably needs to be rectified at some point, not your problem. So firstly, outsourcing is where we hire an organisation to perform services or aspects of business which are non-core to the business function, and which generally could be done by an outside organisation who might specialise in the field. This can happen in Australia, so we can outsource aspects of production or aspects of our business within Australia, but also outsourcing can occur overseas. So why would a business choose to outsource some of its non-core elements? Well, it allows the business to focus on what is important to the business, the key internal functions which really drive the business forward through innovation, etc., etc. So if you think about Apple, for example, what is the core business of Apple? Well, it's not actually making the phones. The core business is the design and the features and the tech that goes actually into the product. That is where Apple can truly innovate. It outsources its production to somewhere else because it's not the core of the business. So businesses obviously do outsource primarily to save money, but also to take advantage of specialists in the field. Another example would be outsourcing things like your payment function in your e-commerce portal to a company like PayPal, because that is a specialist in the field for that element of your business. So it is cost effective moving over to the benefits. It allows you to focus on your core competencies. Ideally, it lowers costs. And potentially, if you choose the right company to outsource to, it should increase your productivity. So acquisitions is where one organisation purchases a controlling share, if you like, in another organisation. I don't think you need to know hostile and friendly acquisitions. It's never come up necessarily in a marking key, but those really are the two types. Really, this is used as a growth strategy for businesses to expand in markets. When you acquire new businesses, you will acquire the things which exist in the business, which can include the expertise of staff, the patents and tech which a business owns already, and its existing market share. So a lot of times, big businesses like, for example, Facebook or Meta acquire other businesses because it's easier and cheaper to acquire that aspect of technology rather than to develop it itself. Benefits is increasing your customer base potentially or perhaps in new markets. There are financial benefits obviously that come with that. If you are adding on different skills, expertise and products, that may reduce your research and development costs because you've bought it rather than going through the long process of developing it yourself. And hopefully you will achieve economies of scale because you are a larger organisation. Mergers are very similar to acquisitions. Often they're talked about together. Here is where generally two businesses combine together and become a new corporate entity. I guess a disadvantage of mergers is that those previous businesses will lose their corporate identity, which may have an impact on the way customers identify with that business. The biggest reason for mergers is to gain a greater market share in the industry in which you operate, or as the PowerPoint says, a financial advantage. Again, you can combine your skills to hopefully improve the business offerings, and you can benefit from economies of scale. So you can see in this one in particular, there is a bit of a close link between the rationale and the benefits, and it's hard to differentiate between the two. But most often you will see mergers with, sometimes it's called uncompetitive when two very large players in an industry merge together and create sort of like a behemoth that really dominates the industry, and therefore potentially may be able to, although it's not legal, then anti-competitive laws will get involved, to manipulate the price which is offered for a good in the market. So joint ventures are increasing in number, and these are multifaceted and can come in any field or any industry. So the biggest thing about joint ventures is that both parties still maintain their own corporate identity, and they join together in a venture to accomplish a specific task over a specific time frame. The benefits of this, or the reasons why you do it, is firstly, I'd argue most importantly, to open or to enter new markets. So for example, in places like China, as a Western business, you cannot operate in China without a local partner. So to crack that very, very large market, you would need to form a joint venture. It allows also the sharing of resources in particular to enable large-scale projects. And it also allows you to focus on your core business while still entering new markets and doing other things. It does allow you, so the benefits, it does allow you to use local knowledge or the knowledge which exists in the partner that you are joining with more and diverse staff on board. It can lead to generating new ideas. But most importantly, it's entering new markets and also raising capital in a group. So, in large-scale mining projects, for example, you might have 3 very large mining companies joining together because the cost of setting up that mine is actually quite substantial. So I think of things like the Gorgon gas development up in our northwest, where we've got 3 multinationals, I think Chevron, Shell, and potentially Woodside, but I may be wrong, who have joined together because the scale of setting up that production facility was massive, and it would be very, very difficult for a company to do it alone. Franchising. So when you are speaking about franchising, generally the question, even though it's not stated in the question, it is really referring to the franchisor, or the headquarters, or the aspect of the business which controls the IP, which controls the rights to the product itself. So that is the franchisor. The franchisee is obviously the person who pays a fee to operate under the business name. Why would businesses franchise? Well, realistically, it is one of the best business models because someone else is actually running an aspect of the business for you and paying you an ongoing fee for the rights to use your product name. Think of McDonald's, think of other food multinationals. This is their core model. It does allow you to quickly expand your presence overseas. It does allow you to take advantage of local customs and markets and potentially differentiate your marketing mix to suit that market. The benefits are that you are playing on that established brand name, and that with further expansion that can only grow. From a franchisee's perspective, it does allow you training, so it's not like you're starting the business from scratch. There are tried and tested routines and setups for you to follow. It does allow for economies of scale because you are using similar marketing techniques, arguably. I think of McDonald's, and it is very, very similar across all McDonald's stores. Obviously, the menu does change or is adapted to suit local needs. And one of the biggest benefits for the franchisor is that ongoing revenue from the franchisee, which is paid every month. So this topic has come up numerous times in the WACE exam, in both the extended response section and the short answers. Last exam was in the extended response, and it was asked for you to, in 2023, and it was asked a pretty tricky question actually, because there was 2 parts to it. You had to firstly outline the rationale for either a merger or a joint venture, and then also discuss the benefits of either joint venture or merger. So 12 marks, a very substantial question, and I think this threw a lot of students off in the exam just because, if you're not full bottle on this topic, it was actually quite difficult. So I'm going to pause the video, or you can pause the video and have a read of the case study, which is about Jay and Lynn and a men's sort of skincare range. And I'll pause the video, or you pause the video now, and again highlight specific parts in the case study that you think are relevant to strategic alliances. So pause the video now. Okay, so, and for some reason my highlighter went a bit weird, but you can see here that the company name is Woodies. They are an existing business. They have a pretty established market in Western Australia of a unique product which uses 100% organic and vegan ingredients, which are sourced locally. So it's a high-end product tailoring to a specific niche market using, things like sandalwood and macadamia oil are absolutely local to Australia. So, that again, this is homegrown developed products. That brand Australia as a high quality trusted product is important for them in their marketing and in their business. They have met, as you can see down there a little bit lower, a person called Alex who runs a similar business except focusing on beards, and they are looking to enter the South African market. So there we go. So, it's going to be difficult because there is the establishment of a production facility, ideally, in the new market. So it's not just selling their products. They are looking to do, to actually produce the products there as well, which, increases risk, absolutely, and increases the viability of the business venture actually being successful. So let's just have a look again at the marking key. So here, just quickly at the top there, so outline. So we're asking first of all to outline the rationale of joint ventures and mergers. So that's 2 marks per outline. And then we're asked to discuss the strategic alliances and the benefits of each. So you can see there in the SCASA verbs document, the word discuss means that you identify issues and points for and or against. So here's an example of a model answer on the next page. So you can see the yellow is the outline, the rationale part, and the green is the discussion. So basically, the outlining of the rationale comes straight from the PowerPoint and straight from your notes. So the merger. So what are the benefits of the merger? Well, again, straight from the theory, but linked into the actual business. The obvious advantage is economies of scale in that you've produced something, 2 businesses combining, you can potentially gain from economies of scale from that in that facility in the South African market, therefore reducing your costs of production. The biggest disadvantage of a merger in this case is both businesses lose their corporate identity, and they're going to have to decide, what it looks like if the both businesses merged into one greater entity, and that may cause conflict between the owners. It may be very, very difficult because it would be in reality difficult to come up with. The word discuss does not mean that you have to propose one or the other. It does mean, and it would be up to the marker of the exam if you did propose one over the other, which one would be better, whether you got marks for that. But it is not actually in the question. So the word discuss means you're looking at both sides. You don't have to draw a conclusion necessarily, although you could do, and the marker may see that as favourable. So the joint venture, the rationale there is straight from the PowerPoint and from your notes. So the joint venture, the benefits of it is that both businesses still maintain their corporate identity when establishing the new venture in South Africa. And the other benefit would be that you can combine capital to share the expenses of setting up that new market and that new production facility. So yeah, I mean, if I was asked to propose one type of strategic alliance, I think a joint venture may be better in this instance because, again, they're both relatively new businesses. It is a big venture. Expanding like this, a joint venture also, you have a time frame on it, and therefore if it starts to go a bit pear-shaped, you know that there's an end date to it all. Whereas if you merge together, potentially that is going to be ongoing, and it presents some challenges if this doesn't work out. There you go. That was a big topic, so I hope that was beneficial to you.